A quiet shift is happening in the world of health, and most people don't know it yet. Numbers that once seemed impossible to control, blood sugar, blood pressure, stubborn belly fat, are being changed by a single natural compound hidden inside a group of ancient plants. For years, it stayed in the background, overshadowed by expensive medications and trendy supplements that promised fast results but delivered little. But now researchers are uncovering data that points to something far more powerful than hype, a supplement with real metabolic impact, real clinical evidence, and real potential to transform the three biggest health problems affecting millions. Today, you're going to hear the full story, what it is, how it works inside the body, the surprising science behind its effects, and why experts are starting to talk about it with unusual excitement. You'll see how it influences the tiny switches inside your cells that control energy, fat storage, blood sugar transport, inflammation, and even appetite. And what makes this especially important is that the benefits don't come from magic, they come from measurable changes that scientists can track, observe, and verify. As this video unfolds, you will discover why some researchers compare its effect on metabolism to flipping on the body's internal engine. You'll learn how it supports glucose uptake, why it influences the liver in a way that helps keep blood sugar stable, and how it interrupts the deep biological patterns that contribute to belly fat. You'll hear about the groups of people who saw improvements in clinical trials, the conditions under which the supplement worked the best, and the key mistakes that reduce its effectiveness. Details most videos skip, but details that matter if you want results. The goal here is not to create hype, but to reveal the mechanisms behind the benefits, the changes happening inside your bloodstream and your cells, and why experts across nutrition and metabolism keep returning to this compound when discussing natural support for diabetes, blood pressure, and weight control. Stay with this video until the end, because the final section explains the real-world dosages used in scientific studies, how long participants took it before noticing changes, and the small daily habits that make the biggest difference when paired with this supplement. These are practical, clear steps that can help you avoid trial and error and start using it the way researchers tested it, safely, consistently, and effectively. And throughout this video, keep in mind that none of this replaces medical care. This is not medical advice. It is extremely important to speak to your doctor before adding anything new to your routine, especially if you already take medication for blood sugar or blood pressure. If you're ready to understand the supplement that's drawing global attention for its ability to support metabolic health, you're in the right place. Welcome to our channel, where every video is built on research, clarity, and practical guidance. Make sure you subscribe, because the next videos will continue to reveal powerful, science-backed ways to protect your health and strengthen your body from the inside out. Berberine is a bright yellow natural compound found in several plants, including barberry, golden seal, Oregon grape, tree turmeric, and a few others that grow in different parts of the world. For centuries, these plants were used in traditional healing systems long before modern science understood what made them so effective. In Chinese herbal traditions, formulas containing berberine-rich plants were used for digestive issues, infections, and general metabolic support. In Ayurvedic practice, similar plants were used to balance energy in the body and improve overall vitality. People did not know about molecules or biochemical pathways in those times, but they observed that these plants helped with problems related to blood sugar, digestion, and inflammation. Today, modern research is finally explaining why these traditional healers saw such results, and that explanation begins inside your cells, where berberine interacts with one of the most important metabolic switches the human body has. Inside almost every cell sits an energy-regulating enzyme called AMPK, short for AMP-activated protein kinase. This enzyme works like a sensor, constantly checking how much energy your cells have available and controlling how that energy is used. When AMPK switches on, the body shifts into a more efficient and balanced state. Scientists often call it the metabolic master switch because it controls how the body burns fat, how it processes glucose, how efficiently cells take up sugar from the bloodstream, and how the liver manages energy production. Berberine is one of the few natural compounds known to activate AMPK strongly and consistently. When berberine enters the bloodstream and reaches the cells, it triggers AMPK to wake up, and this activation leads to a chain reaction that helps with blood sugar control, weight management, and inflammation reduction. One of the first changes AMPK activation creates is improved glucose uptake. Normally, when you eat carbohydrates, glucose enters the bloodstream, and your cells need insulin to help move that glucose inside for energy. When someone has insulin resistance, the cells stop responding properly, and blood sugar stays higher for longer. Berberine helps the cells open their doors again, making them more responsive to insulin. This means more sugar goes into the cells where it belongs instead of floating around in the blood. As a result, fasting blood sugar, post-meal spikes, and long-term sugar markers can all improve. This effect has been measured clearly in modern clinical studies where researchers track glucose before and after berberine supplementation to see how the body responds. Another important effect happens in the liver, the organ responsible for producing glucose during fasting. When the liver overproduces glucose, blood sugar climbs even when someone has not eaten. This is common in diabetes and prediabetes. Berberine slows down this glucose production, helping the liver release less sugar into the bloodstream. This reduction is one reason why people taking berberine often see lower fasting numbers after several weeks. Along with these changes, berberine also reduces inflammation at a cellular level. High blood sugar and poor metabolism create low-grade inflammation throughout the body. This inflammation contributes to insulin resistance and damages blood vessels over time. Berberine's anti-inflammatory effect calms these processes and supports the overall health of metabolic tissues, creating a more stable environment for sugar management. When you combine all these internal shifts, you begin to understand why researchers are paying so much attention to berberine. When scientists wanted to test these effects more officially, they looked at several groups of people with diabetes, prediabetes, and unstable blood sugar. Across different trials, many carried out in hospitals and clinical settings, they measured fasting blood sugar, HbA1c, and post-meal glucose levels in multiple meta-analyses which combined data from many trials to get a clearer picture. Berberine consistently lowered fasting blood sugar in a meaningful way. It also reduced HbA1c, which is the long-term marker that shows average blood sugar over several months. Post-meal spikes also went down, showing that berberine not only affects baseline sugar but also how the body handles meals. These changes were not tiny. In some studies, the improvement in HbA1c was similar to mild pharmaceutical treatment, though berberine is not a medicine and should never replace one without a doctor's supervision. Still, researchers were surprised to see how stable and repeatable the results were across many different groups and countries. Even more interesting is that many of these studies monitored safety very carefully. Berberine, despite its powerful effects, did not cause serious side effects in most trials. Some people experience mild digestive discomfort at the beginning, such as soft stools or slight stomach upset, but these usually faded after the body adjusted. In long-term observations, berberine did not create harmful changes in the liver, kidneys, or heart markers, which is important because supplements that influence metabolism must be proven safe before long-term use can be recommended. Researchers also observed that berberine does not typically cause dangerous drops in blood sugar the way certain diabetes medications can. It helped normalize levels rather than push them too low, as long as the person was not already taking other strong medications. This safety profile is one reason berberine is being studied more and more, especially in people at high risk for metabolic disorders. One of the most fascinating studies involved individuals with prediabetes, a condition where blood sugar is higher than normal but not yet in the diabetic range. Prediabetes is extremely common worldwide, and many people do not know they have it. In this particular clinical trial, participants were given berberine regularly while researchers tracked changes in their fasting glucose, insulin sensitivity, and other metabolic markers. Over time, those taking berberine showed improvements that suggested the compound helped slow the progression toward diabetes. their fasting sugar dropped, their insulin response became more efficient, and their overall metabolic balance improved. These findings are encouraging because prediabetes is considered a turning point. With the right support, people can move back toward normal metabolism instead of progressing toward full diabetes. The fact that a natural compound could support this reversal is one reason the research community is taking berberine more seriously. What makes all of this even more compelling is the consistency across different populations. Whether the trial was conducted among adults with type 2 diabetes, individuals with metabolic syndrome, or people with early blood sugar issues, the results showed patterns of improvement. Berberine did not work like a stimulant that forces a quick result. Instead, it worked gradually by shifting the body's internal processes. This difference matters because supplements that act too quickly often stress the body or create rebound effects. Berberine supports the natural metabolic pathways, encouraging better equilibrium instead of shocking the system. The activation of AMPK is central to this. When AMPK turns on, the body begins using energy more wisely, storing less fat, burning more stored fuel, and improving mitochondrial function. These deep changes help explain why people using berberine may notice improvements not only in sugar levels, but in overall energy digestion and metabolic comfort. Researchers also observed that berberine has a stabilizing effect on lipids, which are blood fats like triglycerides and LDL cholesterol. Even though this section focuses on diabetes and blood sugar, it is worth noting that sugar and fat metabolism are deeply connected. When glucose is better managed, fat levels often improve. Berberine seems to support both sides of this metabolic equation, which helps create a healthier internal environment. And while the improvements in lipids vary from study to study, the combined data suggests that berberine may support cardiovascular health indirectly through better glucose control and reduced inflammation. As more studies are carried out, different research teams continue exploring additional aspects of berberine. They look at how long it takes to see results, what doses are most effective, and how the compound interacts with other lifestyle habits like diet and exercise. In many trials, participants began noticing changes in fasting glucose within a few weeks, while deeper changes in HbA1c took a few months, which makes sense because HbA1c reflects long-term patterns. The consistency in results over time shows that berberine's effects are not random. They follow a predictable biological pattern linked to glucose transport, liver regulation, inflammation control, and AMPK activation. When all these findings are viewed together, it becomes clear why berberine is gaining attention as a natural ally for metabolic health. It connects traditional wisdom with modern science, ancient plant medicine with detailed clinical data, and simple daily supplementation with complex internal improvements. As you continue through the next parts of this video, the picture of berberine's full impact will become even clearer, revealing why researchers across different fields, metabolism, endocrinology, cardiology, and nutrition, continue studying this compound so closely and why many consider it one of the most promising natural tools for supporting stable blood sugar, healthier metabolism, and long-term wellness. Berberine's effect reaches far beyond blood sugar, and this becomes even clearer when we look at how it behaves inside people dealing with metabolic syndrome, a condition where high blood pressure, high blood sugar, excess belly fat, and abnormal cholesterol levels all appear together. This combination places huge stress on the body and increases the risk of heart problems, stroke, and long-term metabolic damage. When researchers began studying berberine in individuals with metabolic syndrome, they noticed something that captured immediate attention: a noticeable reduction in waist circumference. In several controlled trials, participants who took berberine over a period of weeks or months saw their waistline shrink by more than 3 centimeters, showing that this compound was doing far more than adjusting sugar levels. The reduction in waist size is important because belly fat is not just extra weight sitting on the stomach. It is a metabolically active tissue that releases inflammatory chemicals, affects hormones, and disrupts insulin sensitivity. Losing even a few centimeters in this area can lower the burden on the liver, reduce inflammation, improve metabolic signaling, and support healthier cardiovascular function. These changes suggest that berberine does not simply help the body control numbers on a lab test, but supports deeper structural improvements in metabolic health. Along with the reduction in waistline, researchers also studied berberine's impact on blood lipids, the fats circulating in the bloodstream. In several large analyses combining many studies, berberine consistently supported lower triglyceride levels, which is important because high triglycerides often appear with insulin resistance and contribute to fatty liver. In addition, berberine helped lower LDL cholesterol, the type that becomes dangerous when it oxidizes and builds up inside blood vessels. These improvements are meaningful because metabolic syndrome is not only about high blood sugar, it is a full body imbalance affecting the heart, blood vessels, hormones, and fat metabolism. When triglycerides and LDL decrease, the risk of plaque buildup goes down, inflammation decreases, and the heart and arteries become less stressed. Researchers noted that these changes often took shape alongside improvements in glucose control, showing that berberine works on multiple metabolic pathways at the same time rather than isolating one function. Blood pressure is another pillar of metabolic syndrome, and it is an area where berberine has shown interesting results when combined with healthy lifestyle changes. Older analyses of clinical data reported that berberine may help reduce systolic and diastolic blood pressure in people who adopt supportive habits such as improved diet, mild exercise, and regular sleep. The effect was not extreme, but even a small drop in blood pressure can significantly reduce cardiovascular risk, especially for those already living with metabolic challenges. Berberine's impact on blood pressure seems to come from several angles. It supports healthier blood vessel function, improves nitric oxide levels, and reduces inflammation inside the arteries. When blood vessels become more flexible and the body becomes less inflamed, the heart does not need to pump as hard and pressure naturally falls. This is especially helpful for people with metabolic syndrome because their blood vessels often suffer from stiffness and inflammation caused by years of high sugar, high fat, and chronic stress. Scientific interest in berberine continued to grow because of its safety profile in metabolic syndrome trials. Many medications used for metabolic issues come with a long list of side effects. Some are difficult for certain individuals to tolerate, and others require strict medical supervision because they can place additional strain on organs like the liver and kidneys. Berberine, on the other hand, has shown a generally favorable safety pattern in controlled studies. Participants in these trials were monitored through blood tests, imaging, and clinical assessments. Most tolerated the supplement well, and serious complications were rare. The vast majority of side effects were mild and temporary, and they tended to appear only during the first few days as the digestive system adjusted. These included slight nausea, softer stools, or mild stomach discomfort, which often faded as the body adapted. This is important because people with metabolic syndrome often take multiple medications, and adding something new must be done cautiously. The reassuring safety data is one reason researchers continue studying berberine's long-term metabolic benefits. However, even though berberine offers promising support for multiple aspects of metabolic health, it is still not a magic cure, and this must be clearly understood. Berberine can assist the body, influence key metabolic pathways, and improve measurable markers, but it cannot override poor diet choices, a sedentary lifestyle, high stress, or medical conditions that require professional treatment. It is not a replacement for prescribed medication unless a healthcare provider decides otherwise. Its role is supportive, not miraculous. Just like any supplement, it works best when paired with healthy habits. Many people make the mistake of expecting instant results or believing that berberine alone can fix years of metabolic imbalance. Real improvement requires consistency, patience, and a combination of better food choices, movement, hydration, rest, and regular monitoring. Like any active compound, berberine also comes with potential side effects. While most are mild, digestive symptoms can appear, especially when someone begins with a high dose. Some people experience nausea, bloating, diarrhea, or stomach cramps at the start. These side effects tend to be short-lived, but they are important to keep in mind. Berberine can also interact with medications, particularly drugs used to lower blood sugar or blood pressure. because berberine strengthens the body's ability to use glucose. Combining it with strong diabetes medications could occasionally lower sugar too much. This does not mean berberine is unsafe, it simply means it must be used wisely. People taking medication should always speak with their doctor before adding berberine to their routine. Another important limitation is supplement quality. Not all products are equal. Some brands use low-quality berberine with weak purity, while others mix it with fillers that reduce its effectiveness. Because supplements are not regulated as strictly as medications, choosing a trusted brand is essential for safety and results. When it comes to using berberine effectively, researchers have identified patterns that appear across multiple studies. One of the most common dosages used in clinical research is 500 milligrams taken 2 or 3 times per day. This amount allows berberine to stay active in the body throughout the day, maintaining consistent metabolic support. Because berberine has a relatively short half-life, taking it once daily is usually not enough to produce strong results. Most trials that track meaningful changes use divided doses. Duration is another key factor. Improvements in fasting sugar, triglycerides, LDL cholesterol, waist circumference, and blood pressure often appeared within several weeks, but the strongest changes usually occurred within the first 3 months. Many trials lasted around 90 days, and this time frame seemed optimal for noticeable improvements. This means berberine is not a rapid-acting supplement. It works gradually, building momentum as the metabolic pathways adjust. The liver becomes more balanced, inflammation decreases, and AMPK continues activating in the background. Lifestyle plays a major role in determining how well berberine works. People who paired it with healthy eating patterns, regular walking, reduced sugar intake, and lower stress levels saw the biggest changes. Berberine enhances what the body is already trying to do. It cannot force good health in the middle of poor habits, but it can accelerate progress when someone is making supportive choices. This is why researchers encourage pairing berberine with a balanced diet rich in vegetables, lean protein, whole grains, and healthy fats, along with regular movement such as walking or light exercise. Berberine supports metabolic pathways, but lifestyle activates them even more deeply, making the two work together like a coordinated system. Setting realistic expectations is important for anyone considering berberine. It is a supplement, not a substitute for professional medical care. People with severe diabetes, high blood pressure, or advanced metabolic syndrome should never stop their medications without supervision. Berberine can help, but its results vary from person to person. Some individuals experience noticeable improvements in blood sugar, blood pressure, or waist measurements within weeks. Others may see slower changes. Genetics, diet, medication use, stress, sleep patterns, liver health, and overall lifestyle all influence how strongly berberine works. The goal is not perfection but steady progress. Tracking blood sugar, blood pressure, and waist circumference can help someone see the direction of change and adjust habits accordingly. Consistency is one of the biggest predictors of success. Berberine works best when taken regularly at the same times each day. People who take it sporadically tend to experience weaker results because the metabolic pathways rely on continuous activation. Monitoring progress helps keep expectations grounded and provides motivation. When someone sees a slight drop in fasting sugar, a small reduction in waist size, or improved blood pressure readings, they often feel encouraged to continue the routine. These small changes add up over time, leading to healthier metabolism, improved energy, and reduced risk of complications associated with metabolic syndrome. As the understanding of berberine grows, researchers continue to uncover more connections between this ancient compound and modern metabolic health. Its influence on AMPK, inflammation, glucose transport, liver function, fat metabolism, and cardiovascular balance paints a detailed picture of a supplement that works with the body rather than against it. It supports natural mechanisms, encourages healthier pathways, and provides measurable improvements in people willing to pair it with steady habits and attentive care. The journey of berberine research is far from over, and its role in blood sugar control, lipid health, blood pressure support, and metabolic restoration continues to expand as new studies deepen our understanding of how this remarkable compound interacts with the human body. Berberine is one of the most researched natural supplements out there. It doesn't just promise, it actually shows real potential in studies. But remember, your health is personal. Always talk to your doctor before starting anything new, especially a supplement as powerful as this. If this video opened your eyes or helped you understand berberine better, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who cares about their health. Your support helps this channel grow, and I still keep bringing you more simple science-backed health tips. Stay healthy, stay informed, and I still see you in the next one.